Now, there's a conspiracy theory out there about President Trump and Jeffrey Epstein, which is outlandish and lacks any basis in truth or evidence. Now, one of the young women abused by Epstein was Virginia Giuffre, who died earlier this year. Now, she's probably his most famous accuser, and she used to work at Mar-a-Lago when she was a teenager. Now, that's where she met Epstein's girlfriend and recruiter, Ghislaine Maxwell. There's gossip out there now with people claiming the president might pardon Ghislaine Maxwell. Now, if he does pardon her, the reason would be to get her testimony about Epstein without her clamming up in fear of incriminating herself, which she most certainly would. A pardon in her instance would be a type of immunity from prosecution. Immunity is often given to co-conspirators. If prosecutors decide the only way to get sworn testimony about a defendant's actions is to give immunity from prosecution to a co-conspirator, and the co-defendant or co-conspirator would become a snitch, as it were. So that's how a pardon would work in this instance. Jasmine Crockett. Let me bring her into it because I want to talk about her tweet. Jasmine Crockett is a licensed lawyer, so she knows about immunity from prosecution. So, for the life of me, I don't know why she didn't share that information in her tweet about Jeffrey Epstein. Here's the tweet, which is directed toward her former enemy, Marjorie Taylor Greene. MTG recently fell out with the president. Jasmine Crockett says, "I'm here for you, girl. I told you not to trust him. All he cares about is himself and protecting pedos." Now, seemingly she's talking about Ghislaine Maxwell. Now, what we don't hear from Jasmine Crockett is that President Trump is now directing the DOJ to investigate Epstein's involvement with Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, Reid Hoffman, JP Morgan Chase, and different folks out there who spent a lot of time on Jeffrey Epstein's island, which is one place where he abused the minors. And needless to say, the president wouldn't be directing the DOJ to launch an investigation into Epstein if he had wanted to suppress the results. So let's return to Jasmine Crockett's tweet. She's now commiserating with Marjorie Taylor Greene, the congresswoman from Georgia, who seems to be in the throes of a rebrand to try to harness the populist energy of both the right and the left. Now, she won re-election to her House seat in 2024 with 64.4% of the vote. And in 2026, Donald Trump will still be president, so his endorsement would have carried her to re-election yet again. But apparently that's too much winning. Now, according to President Trump's post on Truth Social, Marjorie Taylor Greene had floated the possibility with him of a Senate run or a gubernatorial bid. Now, in response, the president sent her polling, which showed her at 12%, and he told her she couldn't win without his endorsement, which he wasn't about to give. Now, President Trump went on to call MTG a ranting lunatic, wacky. All she does is complain, complain, complain. So this explains why he wasn't about to give his endorsement to MTG for the U.S. Senate or governor of the state of Georgia. In the House of Representatives, there's room to be a bit quirky and eccentric, although I have to observe that most representatives take their roles very seriously. Now, Ms. Crockett, incidentally, has already hit the wall that MTG is hitting right now. Jasmine Crockett's personal brand skyrocketed her into public office, but it's limiting her, maybe? Now, just this past summer, for example, Ms. Crockett was forced to drop her bid to become the top House Democrat on the oversight panel, which was led by Democrat Jerry Connolly before he passed away from cancer in May. Ms. Crockett confessed in a video that she lacked the votes and that her colleagues had placed her at the bottom of their list for leadership in a steering committee vote. So her ego took a hit from that. Now let's watch her video.
Always loud and proud about everything that I have to say. But it did cause me some issues for sure. So I placed last in the recommendation from steering policy. And so with that, I am not going to caucus for a vote tomorrow. And, those that have decided that they want to stay in the race to pursue the position, I am going to gracefully bow out because it just kind of is what it is, right? Like it just is what it is.
Not coincidentally, AOC lost her bid for the same leadership post in December of last year. So AOC, MTG, and Jasmine Crockett are all kind of in the same place, in my theory. AOC and Jasmine Crockett have made their careers ranting about President Trump. Now, he's the worst thing since sliced bread, etc. Now, most people like sliced bread, but not everyone. And that's always been the appeal of progressives. They appeal to people who don't like sliced bread, so to speak. They prefer socialism, communism, and Antifa. So they oppose the Constitution, which guarantees the principle of private property. The Fifth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution concludes with words that most voters find reassuring. And I quote, "Nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation," unquote. I discussed this in my recent video about Zohran Mamdani, who's threatening to seize rental properties from landlords. He cannot do that legally. He has to pay fair market value, and he has to follow the procedures of the state's eminent domain law, which, among other things, requires public hearings. Now, a state government might seize property, for example, if it needs to build a highway that will bring billions of dollars to the state's economy. So it would need to condemn residences that could be blocking construction. Now, the highway example is well established. But Zohran Mamdani, he's never stated that he wants to bring billions of dollars to New York City. He wants to seize billions of dollars in taxes and property from rich folks to fund utopian living conditions for poor folks. Well, God can do that in heaven. Okay, Mamdani is selling pie in the sky. Now, if we want better living conditions on the earth, we have to work for those things on the earth. Now, just like MTG, AOC, and Jasmine Crockett would have to work if they're not satisfied with where they are now, and even if they want to continue to remain in the House, they have to work and work very hard. And if those representatives want to help the voters, they might consult with economists and come up with a plan and then explain to voters how their plans would work instead of selling pie in the sky. For example, Marjorie Taylor Greene criticized the president because she's America first and America only, she says. America has always had a foreign policy. Now, if the president ignored foreign relations, the entire world would either be engulfed in war or plunged into economic turmoil because America exists on planet Earth along with a bunch of other nations. It's interconnected, and America is the biggest player. Now, the president has pulled his endorsement from Marjorie Taylor Greene. What choice did he have, really, if she's going to push back on him about macroeconomics and geopolitics, which are accepted by most people? Now, MTG then went on an extended tirade, falsely accusing the president of trying to intimidate her and trying to shut her down. And all because President Trump said he might endorse a primary challenger if there's a candidate with qualifications that are strong enough. Well, doesn't he have the right to do that? MTG doesn't even seem to value her House seat after all, because let's recall she was trying to go to the Senate or to the governor's mansion. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, leave a like and don't forget to subscribe.